Hey, we are live. I'm Paul.
Hey, I'm Adam with Vincent Esquire. Thanks, folks, for joining us. It's Friday.
It is Friday. What's that mean?
It's time to learn a little here. Thanks for joining us. We're going to hear a little bit about franchising, right, Paul?
We have thousands that are sitting, waiting for this to go live. So that's pretty
Rolling
exciting.
in.
So many thousands that it's not even registering. That means zero, folks. So anyway, we're talking today about a couple of pals of ours that we were lucky enough to help in their endeavor in going after a VIO MedSpa, and we're going to talk about how that idea came about, what they did, what they do day to day, and kind of how they ended up where they are with a brand new store opening up like next weekish in Avon, Ohio.
Yeah, so if anyone's ever wondered what a franchise is or thought about starting one up, maybe you can learn a little today about that process.
Mm-hmm. So Romeo has been a mortgage guy for, he said 17 years, but he can't be. That's not true. I don't trust that.
I wouldn't believe it.
He also does options trading, so he's smarter than we are. So that'll be fun to talk about. And Satch is another mortgage guy, and then Satch owns about a bazillion doors in Northeast Ohio, a ton of rental, multifamily, apartment investing. So we'll talk about that, and then we will hopefully ask them questions that are interesting about the new gig. So let's pull them from the green room. They're probably really enjoying all the refreshments in there. And here's Romeo. And
Absolutely.
here's Sachin. Guys, what's up?
Yeah, we're here live.
You're live on Facebook. Thousands are
Coming
watching,
at you.
so be careful. Be careful. Hey, Satch, why don't we start with you? Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing day to day.
Yeah, for sure, man. So, man, day-to-day stuff is crazy, as you know. I wake up, first of all, I'm a father of two beautiful children, a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, right? So that's the best part about my day in the morning, right? So that in itself, just getting them ready and getting them to school and to my mom and dad's house, that's probably most people's 40-hour work week, I promise you.
That's right.
But after that, man, I get into my mortgage office, so I do residential real estate. So if anybody's looking out there for purchasing a home, definitely give me a call. And Paul, you're going to make sure you drop my line here at the bottom, right? Emails, phone numbers, everything for me. Make sure you do that. All right.
We're gonna have competition between the mortgage guys here. There's a couple sales guys.
They will sell you. Like battle off.
They will sell you on this live.
Sure. I'm booked. I'm booked 3 months out. I'm good.
I ain't got time for your mortgage.
But doing purchase lending, right? So I've been doing that for about 15 or so years now in the residential real estate space. While doing that, I took an interest in investing in real estate. So I started buying multifamilies and single family houses and doing that whole thing. So that's been going pretty well. And then right there in the middle, Romeo and his lovely wife, Maytop, they approached me with this incredible venture with VIO MedSpa. And I'm like, VIO MedSpa, tell me about it, right? And it's, just, skin rejuvenation and, all this other stuff. I had no idea what he's talking about at first. But then now I've learned.
Oh, wow.
Right? We're in it in the franchise world, trying to learn it, trying to figure it out. And that's pretty much about it. Just trying to get through it. Romeo and them. Look at Romeo's eyes. As you can see, my man has not slept.
You know who needs the rejuvenation? That's right.
I kid you not. He has not slept. I went to the spa earlier today, and they're on fumes, just working night and day trying to get this thing going. But that's where we are, and we're excited.
Yeah, man. Awesome. Romeo, tell us about you.
Yeah. I've been in the, real estate finance lending world. Yes. For 17 years.
That's pretty wild.
I started when I was basically 19 years old. Actually, I started before that, but I got licensed. I was a broker when I was 19. But yeah, I've been doing that ever since. I've been with Quicken Loans for 15 years. I've been, investing for probably a decade, just playing with options and that kind of stuff. And I actually own a couple condos in Europe and Romania as well. So I started buying up some property in my mother country, my motherland, because I was born in Romania, actually. I came to America when I was 6.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's cool.
so we found out. So the way that VIO started, so a good friend of mine, Joe Stanizek, and Nick, his brother, they actually founded the brand about 3 years ago. And then, they had this idea along with some other business partners to scale it out nationally. It was such a hot market. The med spa industry has been growing exponentially at 30-40% per year for the last 4 years. Now it's a $30+ billion market, and it's going to be a $100 billion market in the next couple of years. It's no longer taboo to go get your Botox and talk about it, right? It's no longer taboo to talk about getting filler. It's accessible. That's the key. What we're bringing to the market is something that's accessible and that's affordable to an extent, right? You don't have to go to a plastic surgeon's office anymore and go under the knife and have 2 weeks or 3 weeks of downtime. We can give you a non-surgical facelift in 30 minutes for a quarter of the cost, and it's safe and it's effective, and that's what we do. We're in the beauty of making people feel wonderful and feeling confident in their own skin.
That's pretty cool. Adam, do you have a question?
Yeah, that's great. That's great. You mentioned this was through your friends. Do you have any background in the med spa industry or
No,
medical?
Not at all. So here's the thing. So I'm a sales guy, all right? I'm sales, I'm business development, I'm that kind of stuff. Same with Satch, he's a business guy. This has been a 2-year journey. My wife and I we've taught ourselves everything there is to know about the medical spa world, from the legal aspect, the compliance, the safety standards, the health, the terminology. I mean, I could tell you everything about everything. I could tell you who does it, where you get the supplies. I could tell you, it's actually become such an obsession now that at nighttime, I literally watch Instagram videos of people getting injections, like getting lips, just so I can learn everything about it. That way I sound educated, when people ask me questions about it.
That's pretty good. So did you know those guys, or how were they friends?
Yeah, so they're buddies of mine from the high school days. We all grew up in Strongsville.
Oh, so this started locally in Strongsville.
Yeah. So the Strongsville VIO MedSpa is the flagship. It's been around for almost 4 years, wildly successful. They have over 500 members. They see over 1,000 people a month. And it was founded by these two guys, Joe and Nick, who are good friends of mine. And, I reached out to Joe and I said, look, I want a piece of this. I see that you guys are scaling it out. It was on LinkedIn. Get me with the franchise guys and let's see if this is a good fit. And, I've always wanted to kind of branch out and build something, build an empire, so to speak. So this is the cornerstone of that.
Nice. What number are you?
So this is our first one.
First one. And how many do they have?
So Nick and Joe own quite a few. Well, they own 2 or 3 here locally, but so there are 88 in the pipeline nationally right now. Wow. So it's a hot brand. I mean, we have a ton of interest from people all across the country. So we just launched Chicago, Denver in the last 30 days. We have Austin in the works. We have one in Boston in the works. We have 3 in Florida, a few in Cali going up. We've got the Philly market about to go live. I mean, it's everywhere. So you're going to see, the goal is to make VIO MedSpa the sort of synonymous name when it comes to med, almost like a Massage Envy, where you see them everywhere. You just think, okay, I want a massage, I go to Massage Envy. Or you think, I want Botox, I want body contour, I want a facial, I want to go to VIO. That's kind of what we're going for.
Yeah, and you guys are getting it in a really impressive time, because no doubt this took a big capital outlay for you guys to get in, but 5 years from now, it's going to be tenfold.
The investment is substantial. The education is substantial. The risk is substantial. I mean, you have to think about the risk here. You are a medical facility where you have to follow all the same medical laws that a hospital has to follow. At the same time, you have these clients that come in that want some certain procedures that are sometimes dangerous. Tear troughs, right? Getting injected under the eye to fill that part. Or taking a barb. We have a procedure where you kind of do like a barb wire and it gives you a facelift. I mean, these are not easy things to do. So you have to really have the right team. You have to have the best injectors, nurse practitioners, and a great overseeing physician, which we do. A lot of training. I mean, every week there's training. Your estheticians have to be great. So there's a lot of risk involved. It's very expensive. You have to have malpractice insurance. That covers quite a bit. So
Yeah. Yeah, man, for sure. You talk about building your team, and Satch, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you? My feed went out, but can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you well. So I'll ask you, Satch. Tell us about building the team. Where are you guys drawn, the pros from, and maybe Romeo, you're better fit for answering this. But tell us a little bit about how you guys are. Have just started learning about this stuff over the last year or two. How are you guys pulling some of the best from the crowd to fill up your store with?
I can take this one, right?
Yeah.
So, it's like Romeo said earlier, right? It's been quite a journey. It's a 2-year process. The number one thing in franchising, especially in something at the caliber of a medical spa, you have to almost have your bullpen, right? You have to have that lined up beforehand, before even getting into the thought process of getting into financing and so forth, right? Where Romeo and I spent countless hours, trying to figure out, okay, what's the right fit? What's the right personnel that we need, that's going to help us get to where we need to be, so we carefully, strategically went out and, found each one of our team members, as we went along. And it's like Romeo said, right? In the medical business, we have to make sure that you can easily mess someone's face up, and there you go. You have your business.
It's really that simple.
Shot, right?
It's really that simple.
Right?
Yeah. Right.
So it took some time. We carefully picked and placed everybody that we needed. And the way we did it is we had all of that lined up prior to us getting into this thing, right? As opposed to some people, they'll just say, well, let me get into the franchise business and then figure it out later. It doesn't work that way in the franchise business. You cannot do that. You will set yourself up to fail. Let's get the hard work out of the way up front, getting the right people in place in front, getting the leadership up front, and then we kind of go along, right, Romeo?
Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, we got lucky with a few. So, for example, one of our lead injectors happens to be Satchin's sister.
Hey,
and she is one of the best and brightest nurse practitioners at the Cleveland Clinic, and she just happens to be a natural in injecting. So, she went through, got her certifications. She's now going to be a master injector. So we got lucky there. The other ones, we had to go through a serious vetting process. My wife and I interviewed over 40 nurse practitioners. We put out a campaign on Indeed. That's not cheap either, by the way, to actually get good quality candidates.
Sure, yeah.
You go through every single day. You get all these resumes. We got hundreds of resumes in a 21-day period. Hundreds. I'm not kidding. But that actually shows one thing. That shows how hot this business is.
Right.
How many nurse practitioners are ready to jump out of the hospital setting and into a relaxing sort of spa environment where they make people feel beautiful. The mindset is that they are now working in a place where people want to see them versus have to see them because they're sick. Right?
Yeah.
So imagine the mentality for that provider. They're bringing their best every day because people want to see them. That's what makes our business so great. But after you interview, you got to go through multiple interviews, right? We did 3 interviews with each person just to really figure it out. Then I had another spa manager consult us on the right questions to ask. What are some red flags? I had to learn how to interview a nurse practitioner, basically. You know what I mean? So there's all sorts of stuff that goes in. It took us at least 5 or 6 months to put together the team.
Yeah.
And that's just one position. Then you have to find your estheticians. Then you have to find your guest experience, right? And you got to pay people well, because if you want good talent, you have to take that risk of almost overspending especially on your payroll at the beginning to acquire good talent. And, you can't skimp out on that. So it's definitely a process that I don't wish upon my friends or
It's fun and tiring, right, man?
I feel like our team is airtight, though. It was all worth it. Yeah. I feel like it is that we have an absolute airtight squad. So
nice. So talk a little bit about had you done interviews before this, Romeo?
Yeah. So I was a senior leader at Quicken Loans for about 7.5 years. I was one of our senior leaders, and I was one of our hiring directors. So I've probably interviewed like 500 candidates. But these are all like young college graduate A-types that want to work in the mortgage game and hustle. Totally different interview from a nurse practitioner that has 10 years that knows 10 times what I do.
Right.
I sound like I know just as much. So, adaptation. You know what I mean? You have to adapt. That's number one.
So as an interviewer, what little quick 2 or 3 things can you give advice to people who get real nervous when they think about a job interview and fall apart?
Yeah, I mean, I think that eye contact is a big one. We did a lot of virtual interviews, obviously due to COVID, and I think that you can truly tell, like when you ask a tough question, if they start like looking away and kind of, that's like my first indication. It's the body language. Do they start kind of getting a little like this, a little uncomfortable?
A little shimmy. Do the shimmy, Romy. Do that.
Shimmy, yeah, man. Shimmy. It's a good dance. That's somebody with rhythm. You might hire.
I like candidates that are prepared, and I like candidates that have done a little research on us. So I always ask the question, so what do you like most about our brand? What attracted you to our brand? I can tell right away if somebody's BSing me or if they've actually done the research, right? Because if I want to be part of a team, I'm going to do the research prior to being on an interview and show you how much I care about being on your team. So those, that, and just when you ask somebody, what their strengths and what their opportunities are, and if they tell you that their opportunity is that they work too hard.
I care too much,
I just care so much. I care so much. Yeah.
That's a tough problem.
Yeah, with that, doing research on the company that's interviewing you, I think is an important one, because I think every employer is looking for somebody who's got buy-in, right? When they get, not just that this is going to be a job with a paycheck, but is that a person who's going to be on the team, see this as an opportunity to join a team that they're excited about. I think that's one way people display that in an interview, is just they've actually spent some time learning about the company, getting excited about the opportunity.
And just look out for the victim mentality as well. When you're interviewing somebody, especially when you're running a small business, it's easy, you hire the wrong person that's that victim. And you look for stuff like, oh yeah, I hated my old place. They did this and they did that. That they mentality instead of the we mentality, blaming things on other people. They should not even exist in the vocabulary of a team. It's always we. Right? I mean, it's us. It's on us as companies. So
so that's good. That's great. Hey, so you guys sort of had a little bit. I don't know if your route is a traditional one. I mean, when people think about franchise, I think they think about going to some event, or they see something on a wall or on a website that says, "Hey, you want to get a franchise?" And they think they're just going to kind of get into a franchise like that, and then they hopefully get some direction from the company that they're going to try to join here. And your guys' route was a little different, but can you talk about how did you look at any other franchises? Did you consider any before this, or was it just going straight for this one? And
no, this was it. I mean, and Satch can touch on this too, but we did not plan on this route. Satch and I always talked about doing various business ventures together, but mostly revolving around real estate. It was never like, hey, let's start a med spa. That would be fun, This idea spawned from my wife, actually, and her best friend, who is an esthetician, who she works for us. She's our lead esthetician now. But it's funny, they were having this conversation, and she was talking about her med spa and how it was just being run into the ground by this doctor that owned it, that just didn't care about people and was just cutting people's wages and she goes, and I can't believe she made almost $2 million last year, and she doesn't even advertise. And I was like, I was sitting on the couch and I was like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, rewind.
$2 million.
What did you just say? And she goes, yeah, she's in this little tiny strip mall, no sign, no advertisements. She's been open for a few years, and she grows about $2 million in revenue. And I'm like, hold on. So I started researching, and it's so impossible to get in the med spa game if it's not through a franchise. If you're starting from the ground up and you to build all those relationships and get the doctor, get the overseeing physician, and negotiate deals with the big guys like Allergan and all these manufacturers, it's going to take you millions of dollars and years to do, So when we Joe and Nick and the company that grew this franchise model really laid the groundwork to get in there somewhat easy. Not easy, but easier than most. They had the relationship ready for us.
Easier.
It was plug and play. They had the basic framework. They had the contacts for the construction and the plans. They had the name. They had a sexy logo. So I mean, that was the thing that made Satch and I feel comfortable enough and confident. I'm like, look, Satch, and I had to tell him on this at first because he was I don't Satch, were you arms wide open at the beginning, or how did you feel about this?
I'll tell you, right? As Paul and Romeo, you guys know, and real estate is my background. Before I went to college, we don't really have much business in my immediate family background. We really don't, right? My wife's side of the family had business, in a convenience store, gas station type thing. But other than that, I really have no exposure to it, and I really didn't up until the point, where Romeo came with me. The whole franchise business and everything was just brand new to me, right? I'm thinking, okay, so I'm computing things in my head like a door, right, Paul? I'm like, all right, you know what? All right, so
Nerd alert.
okay, so the ARV is this, and then the cap rate is this, and then I'm like, wait a minute, this is not how you do a franchise model at all, He's like, hey, we should get into this. I'm like, oh, MedSpa, huh? Great, know nothing about it. Have no idea, but Romeo is just so. It's just so exciting to hear him talk about this type of thing, And then when he came to me, and I was like, well, let's take a look. Let's take a deeper dive. And then I kind of went into the numbers and saw, wow, the margins on this thing are crazy. Over the next 10 years, the medical aesthetics field is, supposed to, Romeo, the numbers better than I do, right?
Yeah.
Of what the growth looks like. And at the end of the day, I'm a numbers guy. If you follow the money, right? If it's there, it's there. And the whole franchise business is a people business, and there's no better than us, I thought, as a team. That's why we partnered up together, because we're just people, we just love people, right?
Yep.
And that's how you start a franchise. If you're not about helping everybody grow around you, then you should not be in this business,
Yeah.
So that's why we're like, all right, you know what? I think it makes sense. I think the numbers are there. I think we have the right personnel. Let's get after it. But yeah.
Adam and I talk about almost every week with someone that we have on about one of the more important characteristics being curiosity. Like you guys, nothing about med spas, no medical background, no doctor parents or siblings really or anything like that, and that like one kind of theme we've seen across almost everybody that we talk to that's doing well is that they're curious about other things, right? You could obviously just slang mortgages for the rest of your life and do really well and continue to grow up that. But, when you're a curious person, you're not going to do just one thing. So, you guys clearly, you can tell you're passionate about it, but you didn't know you were until you started snooping around and learning about it.
It's true, honestly. Yeah, it's very exciting.
Yeah, and then spend the time chasing after it. Doing the labor, doing the learning, doing the curiosity, but not just
execute
shiny object. But
and another thing I'll add to that, we'll tell you. Once the curiosity part is done, and we're like, all right, this is what we want to do, right? That's when the true work begins. So don't think that it's once you say this is it. After that, what Romeo and I went through with the banking aspect was very challenging, right? There was multiple times where I said, how many times did I call you, Romeo, and say, you know what, I'm done with this. Enough of these documents they want from me.
Twice a week.
No
more. For about 6 months.
At least once a week, I told him, I'm out. You know why? It's because it takes a lot. It really does. You really have to take the time. You have to take the effort. You need somebody else on the other end, and Romeo's there to help me out, and I was there to help him out whenever we had the bad days of tired of sending documents or whatever the case may be, Yeah. But you have to be patient, because that patience is a virtue, and it's very vital in this business. It's trying to get everything started, because it's not you have an idea overnight, you have a franchise. It doesn't work that way. You have an idea, you have to cultivate relationships, you have to kind of go through the process, but most importantly, enjoy that process. If you're not enjoying the process of what you're doing, you haven't won. Halfway through, you're just going to leave and quit, right? If you believe in what you're doing, go to the people that you can rely on and get the help that you need, but follow through with it. And look where we are today, right? We're almost at our grand opening here soon, 2 years counting, and we're pumped.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And I think you guys are going to do real well, because as important as anything is getting it. Like, you will lose your rear end if you don't understand the importance of the lease and who your landlord is and how all that stuff's going to react, because you guys are in the experience business. So like, obviously you need to have these injectables and all the other stuff, but if you don't have a nice looking place, if you can't afford the nice looking place, you guys won't be around for very long. So Sachin, tell us a little bit about how having a real estate background has helped you in this, you and Romeo going out there for this build out, which has taken, several months. It includes a number of contractors that you had to interview. You have to deal with building departments in Avon. Tell a little bit about that process and how important it is to open up a franchise.
I'll be honest with you. I mean, it's extremely important, right? To be able to have, like you said, you have to have the right look in place. You have to make sure people are people want to come, et cetera, right? But what I'm so proud of the fact that Romeo really doesn't have that kind of background as I do, as far as, getting real estate going and so forth. But he took over all of this, right? He called the contractors. He dealt with the landlords, he made sure the timelines were in place, and it's awesome. So all of you, everybody that's out there that's saying, oh man, you know what? I don't know much about real estate really. So I can't do it. Not the case at all, right? Because Romeo and Maytop, they really, grabbed the bulls by the horn here, and they learned the process as they went. So if you have the passion, the drive, you'll absolutely get it done, and you'll learn so much along the way. But to your question, yeah, I mean, it's location, right? And, you have to rely on the help that we had, and we have some great area representatives that we really trust in Sachin and Hital down in their Solon office, and they helped us, Nick and Joe, our corporate team, our leadership. They helped us get to the location that we are today. And then really Romeo kind of took it over from there.
Yeah, Romeo pretty much handled all the lease. I just showed up on an email every once in a while. And yeah, sounds good, man. Sounds good.
To give other people that are in. So what I learned about the commercial leasing game is that they're a bunch of sharks, and the only way to beat sharks is to just punch them right in the face, and that's literally my approach. So once I realized that these were not nice people I was dealing with, I just went into full offensive mode and just started firing off, whatever I wanted to say. No limit. I started demanding stuff. We started sending counter offers back. The first lease offer that, by the way, it took us almost a year to negotiate our space. Now it was in the Avon. We're in the Avon Commons. We are in probably the hottest part of the Commons where you have the most walking traffic. We're next to Orange Theory and Sally's and Bath and Body Works and Kohl's, and it's a dream come true to get the location we're in. But because we were the small 2,000 square foot space in a land of huge retailers, these guys would take sometimes a month to respond to an email.
Yep.
A month to approve. So I got pissed. So what I did was I researched their organization, and I found out exactly who the top of the chain was. And I circumvented all the brokers and all the middlemen. Okay. And I went straight to the kingpin. I called the general counsel. I called the assistant. I called the vice president of leasing. And I called these guys every single day until they finally started working with me. And I think they got so sick and tired of me calling and calling that all of a sudden,
how do we get rid of this guy?
The wheels started turning. And I was like, well, listen, the only way I'm gonna win this game is if I go straight to the top boss, right? Yeah. So, and I just made noise. And then the first their first thing came out, their first lease, and they tried to crush us. Yep. $10 higher per square foot. They wanted a 10-year guarantee. I mean, we're talking like crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And over about a 6 to 8 month period of time, I got them down $8 a square foot in the lease. I saved us probably, $3,000 or $4,000 a month. I got us, I negotiated a TI tenant improvement. So we got a bunch of money back from our construction, 60 grand back. They're cutting us a check for.
Dude,
as part of our negotiation. So they're covering 60,000 of our, $250,000 build out. We cut our guarantee from 10 to 4 years. We got a 5-year option. And all of a sudden, these guys love us now. You could see how they talk to me.
Well, you guys are going to be paying. You might be unique for a while.
Exactly. Well, here's the problem. In that area, they had a dress barn, a Payless. They had these boring ass outfits. Right, pardon my French. It wasn't exciting for them. We are now going to bring a totally different demographic in this area.
Yeah. Right.
And so, it's like I said to this guy, and by the way, we also negotiated, we pushed out rent 4 months due to COVID, so we don't have to start paying rent until October.
Hell yeah.
And these guys are like, every time I call them and ask for more, they're like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. How many businesses are starting in COVID right now?
Yep.
Right? Just fire right back. So you just can't be afraid to deal with the big guys, even though you might be a low guy. I might be a 2,000 square foot deal for them. I'm not a Kohl's. But guess what? People want what we have. And really ball's in my court right now because I can go do my build out at a new plaza and pay half the square footage. But I knew I wanted this location. Did my research. They have 50,000 cars a week driving by there. So we want to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Be prepared in the game. You got to be prepared, and you cannot be scared to go after these guys and tell them what you want.
Yep.
I think it's one place where people overlook when they're starting their franchise is that part is the lease and their ability to negotiate and do it effectively and read the lease. People really get.
But we do appreciate
your brother helped us quite a
everything you
bit
guys
with
have
that.
done.
Yeah, your brother helped us quite a bit with that, Paul. You definitely helped us quite a bit with that.
I'll take Romeo's credit. That's not
sure. Yeah. No, that's really good. That's good advice, though. I mean, if nothing else, anybody hears that, take the time with the lease. I mean, picking the business you're going to start and doing all that sort of thing, and then you get into a lease and they don't think they have any negotiating power, and they sign something that has these guarantees and that they pay the rate that's asked for and everything. And you gotta work on it. You gotta work on it.
Yeah, and unless you're in Times Square, no one is trying to kick down your chance to get in there. I mean, it's your only chance. And if you start off on a more expensive per square foot than you're going to be able to handle out of the gate, man, you're only going to be around for 90 days. So
right. You'll go through your working capital in 60, 90 days and you're done. Right. That's the thing is when you're starting a business, you better plan on at least 6 months worth of working capital. I'm talking figure out everything and then add 10% to it.
Sure.
About your payroll, your lease, and then add 10% because, things pop up that you didn't even realize you needed. And they just layer a couple $100 here, a couple $100 that adds up to thousands. All of a sudden, that's the difference of you staying alive or not in 3 to 6 months. So be wise with your numbers.
That's great. Hey, so one of the things that I've found, and it's always different with depending on the franchise, but how the franchisor and the franchisee responsibilities play out. Sounds like they were very helpful in certain ways. You've obviously done a ton of work yourself and take that role on. But can you just say a few surprises you ran into in getting ready for this?
Oh,
and the responsibility you had that you thought they might take on, or vice versa.
Plenty. We are our own marketing team. You know what I mean? Like, typically and this is not the fault of any specific person. Our corporate entity just kind of went through a little bit of a transitionary period. So there's some holes in the chain right now that need to be filled. It's a timing thing, and I'm okay with that. But typically when you get into a franchise, you have marketing, you have sort of like a play to run. In this situation, we didn't. So we had to figure a lot of stuff out. I had to learn how to use certain social media apps, how to put out content, which is actually kind of fun. I now know how to make little videos and this and that. So that's cool. But that was a surprise. The other part was dealing with these manufacturers. These are our suppliers. In the medical game, when you're dealing with a pandemic, you might have a supplier that all of a sudden gets told by the government, everything is allocated to this place or this place because of COVID. Syringes, gloves, PPE, whatever. So actually, this just happened about 3 weeks ago. We get an email that says all these items that you thought you were getting to open, we can't give you. Good luck. We don't really know where to get them. Time to self-source. So we scrambled. We called everyone we knew, everyone in the medical game, all this stuff. And I ended up, so I got a license called a terminal distributor of dangerous drugs that I was approved for. And for the state of Ohio, which is basically like a pharmacy license, I own one now, which is great.
Wow.
And it allowed me to set up a surgical supply account with McKesson, which is one of the world's largest surgical suppliers.
Wow.
So now I grab my phone. You need some lidocaine, you need some Botox, boom, boom, boom. I can order it and it's here the next day.
Dude,
but the thing is, you have to get vetted for that. You have to know where to go. You have to, so it's the surprises of the franchise game. You're going to get one all the time. What I always tell everybody that asks me about how this is going is you have to pretend like you're building this from the ground up on your own. If you happen to get some help, great. But essentially what you're paying for in a franchise is the name and some IP. You know what I mean? But besides that, it's on you to build it up, find your team, find your demographic, market, social media. It's on you. No one's going to do it for you. And if someone's going to do it for you, you know it's going to be half-assed. It's not going to be tailored to your needs.
And
right?
it's expensive. Yeah, that would be expensive.
Right.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
Now, luckily though, we've been, luckily we've had a good team. We've had great leadership behind the VIO model, VIO brand, to help us get there. But yeah, Romeo's right. You have to act though as if you're doing this because it is your baby, right? This is you. You have to get this thing going, and you will get the help and support as long as there are a good leadership team behind you, which we have, which is awesome. But it's up to you to get it to that point.
You have to understand
get it to that next level.
When you're growing at the pace that we're growing, right? Our VIO corporate team, they got their hands full right now. You know what I mean? These guys are working on growing to 100 locations by next year. So when you have 80 of these in the pipeline, we have 80 or 88 deals signed. You've got 20 more so how can, you gotta fend for yourself at some point. You know what I mean? So
right, absolutely.
No, we have a great founding team behind us that at a phone call will answer a question for you. But like I said, you just have to do stuff on your own as well.
100%.
Got to hustle. So let's talk about the opening. What's that looking like? When's the kickoff date? What are the hours? All the good stuff. Now that we're getting
so we are live to the public. Soft opening on September 17th. So next Thursday.
From yesterday.
Yep. Next Thursday, and then
2 Thursdays.
Or 2 Thursdays. Sorry. And we will be doing a grand opening event on the 25th on Friday, which is going to be cool. We'll have tours. It'll be kind of an RSVP basis. We'll have some champagne, hors d'oeuvres, some music. We're going to be doing like crazy package giveaways and all sorts of stuff. But we'll be accepting booking and going live to the public on the 17th. So
wow, great, man. That's exciting.
Yep.
We really appreciate you guys coming on. I mean, it's a unique point of view from, we talk a lot of real estate people and construction people and stuff, but we don't, we've helped, Adam, handful or more of brand new franchises, and you guys have gone above and beyond. A lot of people don't get us involved until it's like after the fact. They've already signed the too expensive lease, and the ship is sinking. But you guys, it's really been exciting to watch you guys grow up here, and this won't be your only one, I suspect.
Yeah, I think after we launch this successfully and it takes over the world, I think what we're going to do is we're gonna do 2 or 3 more of these, hopefully in the next couple of years, and we actually want to go out to another state or maybe multiple states and just actually develop out entire areas and things like that. So Satch and I see this as really the next at least 10 plus years of our future and our focus.
That's great. Yeah. Wish you luck on that. Appreciate you. Yeah. Coming on and kind of giving folks an idea of the opportunity, but also the work that's going into it. Much like real estate, it's a lot of work. How sometimes it's sold. Ton
of work, right? But but also don't be too modest there, Paul and the Vincent brothers, because you guys have been the backbone of helping. Not only me, and this is a quick plug because I have to get my guy.
Wow. Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Quick plug in here, man. I'll tell you what, man. I went into Paul's office with a big crate full of
Sandra's got a lot of paperwork
of like 13 different LLCs, and I said, "Here, Paul, I need you to set up a trust document for me, as it's about that time." He's like, "Oh my God, are you kidding me?" But
get out of
got
here.
it done and set
with
up
a smile.
trust, and now every time we need him. Just quick responses and he's negotiated for us. He's looked at our leases for us. In real estate world, he's been there for me. So man, I really appreciate.
Yeah, man. We're lucky to work with nice people. I mean, that's our goal, is just to work with people we like working with and taking the calls from people we like taking calls from. So you guys add to that.
Exciting projects and you guys got those.
That's right.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, boys. Have a good weekend. Stay out of trouble this weekend.
I'm going to go enjoy myself now, so see ya. I don't want to see your faces anymore.
Ditto. I don't see your face anyway. So.
Yeah,
you did us a favor. So.
You guys need VIO Spa.
All right, boys, I'll end this. Have a good weekend.
Thanks for having us.
You got it.